Quincy. Okay, you're going to okay.
Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Welcome, Facebook family. We are here. We are here. So good to see you guys. USA, USA. We are talking. You can't hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah, we
You
can.
hear me? Yes, you should hear me. You should be able to hear me. Yeah,
We can hear you on the radio.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to talk to Facebook. Oh, okay, so Facebook, thank you for being here. We are so here. We are talking all things USA gymnastics. Simone Biles, our girl, pulled out of the team competition. We wonder if she's going to come back for the individual competition. We're going to talk about it all. We have Gloria's sister, who is all up in it. She has a gymnastics school in Harlem and Detroit. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Tammy from Jacksonville, Florida. Type your name in. Tell us where you're calling in from. We are so glad you're here. Hoping you're having a terrific Tuesday. Oh my goodness, you guys. So much is going on. I understand that some federal government all over the country are requiring vaccinations to go back to work. Some hospital care hospitals are saying if you work for the hospital, like some VA hospitals, you must be vaccinated. So lots going on in our world. We're glad you're here. Hey, Shakija from Detroit. We're so glad you're here. Where my girls at? The girls are in the house today. We don't have Caterina, but she is taking those grand boys back. She is in the air. So you have Sabrina, Crisette, Gloria, and her sister Wendy.
We linked up in a cool minute. We linked up in a cool minute. Down. Where my girls at? Yes. We like the applause. We like the applause. We're excited to be here with you. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm looking at the Facebook group. I'm listening to you guys. Hey, this is We Got Issues. This is 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF out of Detroit, but serving an international audience. My name is Gloria Mayfield Banks, and I'm coming to you from the DMV. So excited in Ellicott City. The weather has been amazing, but the TV has been hot today. The TV has been hot. And so we go from TV to radio to TV to radio. So we're so excited to be with you today. You guys, seriously, we're so glad. If this is your first time tuning in with We Got Issues, we are so honored that you're with us today because we bring in the issues. We might be messy. We might be classy. We might be stuffy. I don't know. We come up with a new S every time. Every time we go with a new Y, something. It's crazy up in here. But I hope that you find yourself with us, hanging with us, leaning in into the conversation. Listen, girlfriends, and male friends. Because, you know, Marathon, he going to call in. Marathon, we just calling you out because, you know, you're going to call in today. But I'm just telling you, we want you guys to call in. We want to hear your voice on this issue, 313-778-7600. We know that you are here with us today. We got a hot topic. Oh, my goodness. It is all about the Olympics. It's about the Olympics 24/7. Dorothy said she didn't even go to bed till 6 a.m. watching the Olympics last night. We get up. For real, this is like emergency Olympic conversation. However, there's a lot of emergencies going on right now. There's so much going on. I think I said that yesterday. I think I said that last week. I think I said that a year ago. There's so much going on. There's so much going on. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. I'm so excited about our guest today. But before we get to our guest, let's go to the force of friendship. First, let me tell you, we're missing our girl, Caterina Harris Earl. I don't understand why she gets her own poem. Why did she get a poem? We don't get no poem, right? We're missing our girl, Caterina Harris Earl. But we're here today, and I know she might be listening in because she take on Chris's attitude, like I'm listening, so I don't lose no ticky mark on being on the spot. But we're so excited to have you guys with us, and I'm gonna pass it to my co-host with this big old USA hat on. Sabrina, good Monday. What is happening? What is going on, sister? What's happening? What's happening?
Everything. It's all things USA, all things Olympics, all things COVID, making a comeback like never before. It is just something. I was just, Simone, and Dorothy says that she likes to see the events live. So many people are staying up all night. And of course, I woke up to the news. It's interesting how you could watch it live or you could watch it on the replay. But even though we know what's happening, we're all still glued to the TV in the evening. But to know that Simone pulled out is really big. Everybody was like praying that she wasn't hurt and found out that she wasn't physically hurt, but mentally she had some stuff going on. So we'll talk about all of that. Should she have done it? I'm glad she did it. Some people said, did she take one for the team? Oh, it's just so many mixed reviews out there. But I'm glad she owned her power and did what she thought was best for her. So we'll talk about that. Then I'm seeing so many jobs are saying, you know what, for you to come back to work, you got to be vaccinated. And so no longer is it a choice. They're taking that choice out of people's hands because right here in North Carolina, you guys, one branch of the UNC hospitals at capacity. No more hospital beds.
Already at capacity.
Yeah, already at capacity. So y'all, this thing is serious. And we just want to heal our land. We've got to be vaccinated. That's the bottom line. So a lot on my mind, but I'm glad we're here. The girls are here. We're going to talk about it. Sabrina, Caterina, Crisette, Gloria, we got issues and we are not dropping the mic. We got stuff to talk about. So glad that your sister Wendy is with us today. Hey, Crisette, looking all summery and young. Go on with your fine self. What's going on, Chris?
What's up, Sabrina? Did I tell you I absolutely love you? You know how to do it today. Today. Well, you look beautiful, my sister, with that big USA cap and your red lipstick. I know, radio audience, we are so thankful that you are tuned in to 910 a.m., the Superstation. And I'm telling you, our Facebook audience on 910 and FOF, our Force of Friendship, you guys get a chance to see these gorgeous women every single day. And we are doing our best to bring it to you. And I'm telling you, Sabrina, there is a lot going on in the news. Just to tag on to what you said about this COVID virus and all the decisions that people are having to make about opening schools. What do you do with the kids? And I'm telling you, with this new Delta virus, even people that are vaccinated, they're saying now, if you're indoor, you better put that mask back on. And I'll be honest to say, I was so glad when they said, hey, if you're fully vaccinated, inside you're safe, outside you're safe. And so many of us were taking advantage of that. But you know what? I heard today that there is a group of New Jersey parents that have filed a lawsuit to block mask mandates. And they're claiming that, yes, in the schools in New Jersey, that is forcing their children to wear masks violates their freedom of speech and privacy. So, I mean, freedom of speech and privacy. And I said, I would hate to be one of those mothers who, were saying, I don't want my kid to wear a mask. And then my child got sick and had to go to the hospital, and worst case scenario, died from that, because they're showing that children are now being affected, especially with this new variant. So, we just have this reminder that we have to be more vigilant. And then lastly, I know some of you guys were glued to the House Select Committee investigation of the January 6th attack. Glued. When I tell you, you know what? You could feel the emotion that came from the 4 officers that were giving their testimony.
Right.
I mean, there were times that literally I felt like crying for them, and all 4 of them got choked up at different points of their testimony. And so, you know what, it was really, really sad, especially, you know, the brother who said, you know, they were talking about the election was stolen, and he came back and said, well, you mean to tell me I voted for Biden, so that means that my vote don't count? And then they went
crazy.
Yeah, started calling him the N word. And he was just saying, in all of his 20-something years working at the Capitol, nobody had ever called him the N word. And then I love what he said. He said, you know, we were talking about Kissinger and Cheney and how, you know, they are standing up. Even though they're Republicans, they're standing up. And he said, why is telling the truth hard? Why is telling the truth hard? They're being applauded for telling the truth. And we're glad that they are, you know, going over and beyond. I should say over and beyond. We're glad they're standing up for the truth. But when do you need a big hand and an applause for telling the truth? I mean, this country is in trouble if that's what you're giving applause for, when people choose to support the truth instead of the lie.
You know, one of the things, Chris, that they said, he said, I was more afraid on that day than I was when I was deployed. Can you even imagine?
I can't imagine.
He said he could not imagine that's what he was seeing in the United States at the Capitol as a law enforcement officer. I mean, it was just so riveting, their accounts for it. And then what about this? I cannot believe they're still coming up with tapes that we've never seen before. They still got things we've never, ever seen before. More evidence and more evidence. And then when they go back and they subpoena the White House, they said they want to know every single record, every single word, everything that's going to be. I mean, we could talk about that like for real. That's for real.
That's a show all by itself. That is a show all by itself, for real. I mean, things that are coming out of the Capitol. You see President Joe Biden is announcing Thursday a requirement that all federal employees and contractors be vaccinated against COVID-19. So if, that came out just now. Yep, just now. Yep, that everybody must be vaccinated or be required to submit to regular testing and mitigation requirements, according to a source. So it's no longer going to be a choice, because I don't know how you get past this point if some things like that, a protocol is not put into it being reinforced. So here we go, you guys. As we move into the fall, I mean, 38,000 children last week came down with the virus. Just last week alone, 38,000 in the country. 38,000. Yes.
Oh my God. You guys, I heard today where somebody was talking about the government can't make you do this. And he said, this is not new. When the chicken pox came out, when the smallpox came out, the government took over there. So this is not, he said in 1921 or something, there was a vaccination that was by the government, said that if we're going to save the country, everybody's got to take it. So they're making it sound like this is the first time, but it's been several times that the government has stepped in and made a decision that save the people.
Gloria, there are things that we don't have carte blanche to do whatever we want to do when we want to do it. I guarantee you, run a red light. Guarantee you, stop it at a stop sign and see what happens. Your behind is going to end up in jail. You're going to end up killing somebody and you will be in jail. So there are many times you can't holler fire in a crowded room, right? You do that.
What about the seatbelt? Remember when the seatbelt controversy was going on? And everybody, the government said, you better wear a seatbelt or don't drive, don't go nowhere. That's a government mandate. There's so many government mandates that are, and here, 38,000 children. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But I tell you what, I went to the grocery store today and I sure stepped in there and I sure turned back around and went and got my mask and stepped back out there, because I'm masking it up now, because this is it's like it was before. Every day there's something new. Every day there's something new. But we're going to go on to our topic here. We're going to go on to our topic today, because y'all, these women are hot. The force is hot. And so, okay, we don't have Caterina, so let's bring in our guest. I'm so excited. I've known her for a long long time, a long time. She is truly a friend of the force of friendship. She is a regular on We Got Issues. We call this chick all the time. Like, can you? But let me. Okay. Let me just say this right now. She's my sister, so I get a bunch of bragging rights on her for sure. Plus, in a matter of days, like in 2 weeks, she's going to bring her son, my nephew, to go to Howard University. I don't know where that noise is coming from. Howard University to go to school. So I'm super excited about that. She's not as excited as I am excited about that, but it's a big deal. But also, you guys, seriously, she's one to know. She's so hot on this topic. And I was so glad that when I heard it, the first thing, I didn't go to the TV. I didn't try to go to my phone other than to call my sister and say, what in the world is happening? Now, Wendy, you guys, for over 25 years has run the Wendy Hillard Gymnastics Foundation as founder and CEO out of Harlem and Detroit. She's an amazing CEO. She's an amazing person in the community, and she's just finished a summer camp with her students, and it's just amazing how she pivoted through the pandemic. She was also a past president of the Women's Sports Foundation, so she's really got her ear to the ground. Talked about, when you have the can and the string, like you really get to hear when you really get to hear it, like she really gets to hear it. And on top of that, you guys, she's attended 10 Olympics. She's attended 10 Olympics and has done the broadcasting for TV for some of those Olympics. She's done the Winter Olympics once. She's done the Summer Olympics one time. She even took Ken and I to the Olympics once. So we know, I've seen the chick navigate at the Olympics. I've even seen her get us tickets. Like, Wendy, can you get us in? Can you get us in? Just a minute. She hooked up with Sabrina and Kenny in the United Kingdom when they. So this goes way back. But Wendy, we want to know the deal. So we've got some questions for sure. But before we go to break, just give us the 411 on what you know, because I have some statistics to share with people. But tell me what you saw, what you heard.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to join you all. And I will tell you this, I was up watching it. I had a whole watch party. Me and my friends, we were prepared. We were watching this as was going on. And our first indication was when she did her vault. So what happened when she did her vault, which we all gymnasts saw, is that she didn't do what she's supposed to do. She was supposed to do it a 2.5 twist, and she did a 1.5 twist. So in gymnastics, we call that bailing out. Like you're going to do something, but you bail out of practice. Do you bail out at the Olympic Games? That means something else is up. Now, granted, 2 days before, she was just off. Everybody saw that. She was uncharacteristically making mistakes she hasn't
made. Getting off the mat, getting off this mat, getting off that mat.
So we all saw that something wasn't right. And the indication, we just heard that she wasn't doing bars. That was the first thing, since we were watching it live. And so we all thought that basically, she just mentally wasn't ready. People thought it was an injury. We kind of knew it was mental, because people have to understand this. In sports, mental is everything. Everybody's practicing, let me tell you. But when you have to do it right at that time, it is all mental. Okay? Mm-hmm. And people need to understand that.
Because you've already done the hard work.
Yeah, you've done the hard work. Your body can do this, but in gymnastics, if your mind is not on it while she's doing a triple twist and double backflip, that can be very dangerous. Let's be clear. It's not just like, I'm not going to try, or I can't do it. It's dangerous if you're not aware of what you're doing while you are in the middle of a move. Okay, that's one thing. And the other thing is that I got to give it to her. She's so smart. She's so courageous, because she says, this is not right. I can't do this. And the fact that she took herself off, I think people are not understanding that. That was the most amazing thing, that she stepped back, said, I can't do this. My teammates got it. She had faith in them, and they were great.
Wow. Go ahead.
Wendy, I was going to ask you, I heard one of her colleagues they had her on CNN, and she was so articulate, and she did such a great job really supporting Simone in her decision. And she said, what do you think about, she said, sometimes especially, and I'm sure it's not just an American thing. We focus so much on those individuals that get gold medals that almost, if you get a silver medal or a bronze medal, it's kind of like we turn our nose up at it and we don't give them the celebration that somebody that gets a gold. And she just said, you know, I thought it was really powerful when she said that those other gymnasts should be celebrated for the silver, because that's a big deal. Just going to the Olympics is a big deal. Getting any kind of medal is a big deal, but we kind of downplay those that get silver or bronze medal, and all the focus is on the gold. So can you just kind of talk about that?
As soon as we come back from the break, we're going to go and pay some bills, like Sabrina says, and we're going to go to the break because we got some juicy conversation coming back. We'll see you in just a second.
Facebook family, oh my goodness, thank you for being with us today on such a day where we are talking all things Simone Biles. You know, Wendy just said that was one of the most courageous things that she could have done, was to say, I'm out. I'm not doing it. My team has it. And so it's so good that we have Wendy to help break that thing down and talk about the power of the mind and the stress that's on these athletes. And Crisette brought up a good point. You know, we spend so much time on the gold, that we kind of poo-poo at the silver and the bronze. But do you know what it takes just to make the Olympic team? That's a big feat all in itself. You guys know that Kenny has made 3 Olympic teams, and it's not easy. It's not easy. You got to beat everybody in the wrestling. It's only one in a weight class that gets to go. And Wendy can tell us how they create that team. I'm not sure the ins and outs over there, but it's a big doggone deal just to get on the team to go and compete. And so what do you guys think? Because everybody has an opinion, but nobody has to do the work that these athletes have to do to make that happen for themselves and for our country. And so I think mental health, these young folks, they're getting it. They're like, I'm not afraid to talk about mental health. I'm not afraid to say I'm having issues. I'm not afraid that I got to get my mind right, because Wendy said at this point, it's all mental. They know what their bodies can do. They've been practicing for 4 years, well, 5 years at this point, to get to the games. So they are capable. They are able. But sometimes you have an off day, and it just happens to be at the Olympics. I mean, we have wrestlers who have been at their best, and they get to the games, and you just got to know it's another tournament. It's another tournament. It says, and then all this pressure on her being the GOAT. Yes, Dorothy, pressure, and more pressure. She can't be beaten. You know what? Yes, she can. She can be beaten. She can have a bad day. So what do you guys think? Do you think that she should have pulled out? Do you think she should have stayed in? What are your thoughts? Let me ask you this. Have you ever done a flip before in your life? Have you ever thought about
it?
Okay.
We're back.
Go. Bye.
We're back. We are back. You are back to 9:10 a.m. The Superstation. We got issues every day from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from Monday through Friday. We're excited to be here. You guys, seriously, that was Allie that was interviewed on CNN. And we're so excited to have our guest here, Wendy Hillard. And you have to look her up on her Instagram, and you have to look her up on her Facebook, because when I tell you, this chick has come alive with her commentating over the Olympics. I'm like, oh, look, she left us another commentation. So you got to follow her because she's doing it. And then, guess what? She's squeezing us in between interviews. What'd you say, with the BBC? You have an interview with the BBC, and it's got a BBC before and a BBC after. So she's being interviewed by all these. She happened to squeeze in. We got issues 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. So, Crisette, you were asking her about what she thought about what Allie said on CNN.
Yeah. And about the celebration of athletes that win silver and bronze medal. You know, I just think that we need to do a better job of lifting them up, in spite of the fact they didn't get a gold medal.
No, it's very important. I think people need to understand the whole process, right? It is getting to the Olympics, as you said. There are only 613 Americans that made the Olympic team this year. You know, we got millions and gazillions of people, like 300 million people, whatever. 613 athletes from America, and that's the biggest team we've ever sent. So it's so special to make an Olympic team. That's one, right? And then to get to where you can be even a medal contender. I mean, people want to make the finals. Sometimes the finals is top 10, sometimes it's more. It is really, people have to understand sport. I will tell you that much. And people that understand sport understand that on a given day, one person will be better than the other. They may not be the best person. They may not have won the world before or whatever, but on that day, they had it. And athletes understand this because we do it for years and it goes back and forth. And I have to say, the U.S. team, you all don't realize this. So only this competition, talk about pressure. This is the first time 3 athletes would go up and they would count all 3 scores. In the last Olympics, you'd have like 5 athletes go up and they take the top 3 scores. So that's not pressure. When only the 3 scores will count, and they did this because the U.S. was so dominant. Like we could send our top 10.
That's what I wanted to ask about. Why? Because people are asking about the changes that are being made because she's so dominant, and how they said that they had to change some of the rules because otherwise her excellence would surpass everybody's excellence, and they were not scoring her the right way. What is that all about?
So there are 2 issues. The issue is that she's amazing and she's doing skills that are so difficult that other people, I mean, seriously, there are probably 5 people in the world that can do that vault she's doing. And I'm talking, including men. There are about 3 men. I don't even know if any other women. I mean, she's doing skills that are so difficult that when they give the skills a difficulty score, they're not really giving it what they should. And they're trying to keep people. That's for Simone. When it comes to the team competition, this is the first year where only the 3 go up and all those 3 scores must count. So there's no room for error. And that's the first time we've done this Olympics. So everybody was under more pressure, right? And so if you don't hit, it counts against your team. And she was feeling that too. She says, I'm not doing well. And there's a good chance with bars, which is her next event, which is not her strong event, there's a good chance she'd bail on that. So she didn't want to go and have her score count when she's going to fall on everybody, when she's got these gymnasts next to her. I mean, Jordan Childs didn't even warm up the bars because she wasn't set to do it. So she's like, la, 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 la. All of a sudden it's like, you got to do uneven bars. She's like, where are my grips? Yeah, and she went out there and totally made it amazing. And so
she nailed
Simone
it with no warm up.
Yes, I mean, the fact that we got silver was no joke. When your top athlete goes down, no other country would have been able to do what we did. Just so you know.
In any of the sports.
Well, I don't know of any sports, but sure not in women's gymnastics.
Well, I mean, because they were saying something, talk about the eliteness. They said in one swimming sport, only 2 people from America got to go to swim in that particular sport. Like, out of all the swimmers, it was a very big, but only 2 people get to go. So if you take out your top person, that's major. But if the top person takes herself out, I mean, all kudos to her for standing up the way that she did.
She stood up for she stood up. She trusted her teammates, and she actually gave them the energy they needed. I think that move when Simone said, "I'm going to step back," because she stepped back saying, "I trust you. It's not all of me. You all got this," and they stepped up and performed amazingly. That was for us to see that one. We were just like, wow. That kind of magic, I don't think people understand that, how she gave this to her teammates. Because if she competed like she was, they may not have gotten any medal. Let me be clear.
Wow.
And you know what?
Wow.
And that speaks of, go ahead, Sabrina.
No, I got to ask you this, Wendy. I mean, thank you for breaking this thing down, because it's just been in my mind all day. Why she did what she did. So this gives us great understanding. When you said she changed her routine, one of the commentators said she could have possibly got lost in the air.
Yes.
Now, because we see her doing all of this so flawlessly, so effortlessly, but to think that she could have gotten lost in the air is scary. So talk about when you change a routine, do you change it in the air or do you change it before you go? How does that happen?
Well, that's the thing. It can happen at any time. You don't know what's coming, right? And so you get up there and you start doing your trick, and something happens where you're not connected to it anymore. She is amazing that she was able to land on her feet, do a half turn. Not everybody can do that one, and it depends on what point you are in the skill. Are you going up to the skill? Are you in the middle? Are you coming down? There's so many factors, but that does happen, that athletes get lost, and it happens to every gymnast. Everyone knows about it. I think most athletes know. They're all of a sudden doing what they do all the time, and then it doesn't work. It just happens, right? So when they said
but Wendy, I just can't
air,
imagine that. I mean, your son, who is incredible, I see him flipping on Instagram like crazy. That would freak me out to think that he could get lost in the air as he's doing these flips.
Right.
But it happens. I mean, that is just
a lot,
a new concept.
A lot.
So Wendy,
let me tell you, gymnasts, when they practice, I know in a gymnastics gym, it's not just mats. We have what they call a pit. We have these really soft mats. We practice not to land all the time. Do you understand?
Really?
To get to a big skill, you have to do all this stuff, and you land however. You have to build up to that. People just have to appreciate how specific and difficult gymnastics is. And then what Simone Biles has been doing the last few years, or all of her career, is doing things that are exceptionally more difficult than all the other female gymnasts in the world do. Okay,
hey,
so
Allie said this. She said, sometimes if your breathing is off, she said, if you breathe wrong, it can throw you off. If you run just a little bit faster or a little bit slower, she said you have to understand a 4-inch beam does not allow you to be confused. You cannot be confused. Wow. You cannot be off your game. It's a 4-inch beam, and you got to know what you're doing when you're up there. And we lose sight of what that means when you feel like you're off. She said you could kill yourself.
I can believe that.
Go ahead.
Wendy, I had a question when you talked about losing yourself in it. Losing themselves in the air, and that they can get up there and change. Is there deductions taken? Let's say, for instance, Simone Biles said she was going to do a routine that had 3 flips, and she decided to do 2, or she decided to do 1.5. Do they subtract that off of her score if it's not exactly what she said she was going to do?
Yeah, especially for vault. So basically, you have to tell the judges what vault you're going to do for that event. You can change it up in some other events. You can change it up on beam. You can change it on floor. But on vault, they have to know what they're looking for. So that's the event where they say, I'm doing this vault. This is the number, and this is what to expect. So if they don't see what's supposed to be in the vault, you're definitely going to get deducted, right? You get extra points if you fly extra high, if you get deducted if you land very low. But for that event, they do know what they expect to see. And so you can't just change it up because you want to do it. You can't do that in that event.
I mean, is it Bernetta? She said that the width of the beam is the width of your iPhone. I mean, that's just
wow.
That's so craziness. Yes, that's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so Wendy, now you're on Zoom with your gymnastics community, watching this, right? I mean, I called her. I'm like, Wendy, what happened? So all her friends are. What was the conversation immediately after you saw this? What was the support? What was the conversation? Because you know that you're going to have people who are going to say the wrong things, and you're going to have people who say the right things. What were they talking about? Because these are people that you hang out with that are deeply steeped into gymnastics.
Well, the first thing, we want to make sure that she wasn't injured. And we kind of all knew she wasn't, because after she walked away from the vault, we could see if you're injured, you won't walk the same way. And that was not in our heads. And that was never an issue. But we all knew that her head wasn't right. Now, we didn't know if she was pulling out for the whole competition or she was just going to pull out for bars. But the rule probably is you can't change your lineup. There's so many rules, right? So the committee already knows who they expect to go on the next event. It can change, but that was put in last night, right? So when you change it, she probably had to pull out for the whole competition and couldn't just pull out for one event. There's very likely that is the rule. You know what I'm saying? That you can't change at the last minute like that if it's not medically something along those lines. So. So the fact that she did that is, the reality. So our friends and us, we were just we kind of assume that's what happened, that mentally, this is not unusual in the sport of gymnastics for you to zone out or not be able to manage this. And all of us understand that she, being the best female athlete in the world and the best gymnast in the last 50 years, if not ever, you know, it's mental. We get that. And if it's not there, I tell people, if your mentality is not there, it's like having an injury. So let's say you sprain your ankle and you can't flip as much as you want to because your ankle's broke. Well, you also can't do that one if you're mentally not there. And we understand that.
Right. I think that I want to ask you, because the conversation about her parents not being there, the spectators not being there, the audience, you know, everything has changed for this Olympics. But what do you think about the fact, and Miriam asked about the support of her coach, but what do you think about the fact that her parents weren't there? Because it seems like that's a lot of the conversation. You know, when you operate in such a norm and then that norm is taken away from you.
So here's the thing. I don't think it's one thing specific, because her parents are there and nobody else's parents are there. The one thing about the Olympic Games is that no parents were allowed to go. So everybody's in the same situation. The part that's been so difficult that added on to the pressure for all of the athletes is this uncertainty. This environment was different for all athletes, but I didn't doubt that they'd be able to still make good performances. The thing that affected them the most was the whole Olympics being postponed for 1 year. Leading up to the Olympics, they still weren't sure it was going to happen. People's training was totally disrupted. And so that, you have to understand, when you train for Olympics and gymnastics, it is not like 6 months. It is 6, 8, 10 years that you're preparing for this. And so when you have 1 year interruption and all this uncertainty, everybody's been crazy about the pandemic. If it's affected your life, it's affected the athlete's life. And so that is what the pressure is on top of that. And then I must say, my girl was carrying the weight of the Olympics on her shoulders.
Right. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about the pressure that the whole Olympic, the whole America, the whole world, North America, South America, everybody, all of Africa, all of China, everybody was watching Simone. She's in every commercial. She's in every commercial break. She's flipping through the Starbucks to use her Visa card. I'm like, there she goes again. There she goes again. I mean, I can't even imagine. What about that pressure?
Well, I none of us can imagine it, because it's really never been like this level. It really hasn't. It just hasn't been the buildup. Everybody's waiting for the Olympics. I mean, personally, I know her agents, and I think they've done a super great job protecting her and making her work. She speaks so well. She's on point all the time. But here's the thing. You don't realize how tough the pressure is until you're in that moment. That's what people have to understand. She thought she could handle it. She handles a lot of stuff. She had no idea. But when she was going down, she said in her warm-up, she didn't feel right. That's when it hits you guys. Right. It's not like something you can prepare for. I mean, not like she couldn't do it. Right. She's the greatest gymnast there is, but that pressure, like, it just hits you and it doesn't give you a warning.
Right. I know. Isn't it amazing how we all love her so much? Somebody just said, nobody in our house breathes when she's performing. We're all holding our breath. Right. You know, she is like a family member, you know, she's like, oh my goodness, we all just love her so much because she's gone through so much. And when you talk about USA Gymnastics and going through the rape allegations of the doctor and all that these young girls, she had to be the poster child to stand up and say, it's not right. I'm no longer being silent. It's pressure. But you know what? She said, I'll take it. So can you talk a little bit about USA Gymnastics and all of that they've gone through on that front?
Yeah, that part we didn't even talk about the pressure. So the last 4 years in gymnastics have been crazy, right? I run gymnasts, I have gymnasts. I mean, we all love our sport, but that added on top of it is so much more pressure. So what happened is that Simone is the only athlete that's currently competing now that was affected by Larry Nassar. And so I don't believe that she stayed. Someone says she stayed in gymnastics to have this platform. I think that she stayed in gymnastics because she's amazing and she loves it. But she then does carry that representation of an athlete who went through all of this drama and is still getting better at gymnastics, you guys. This is the thing. In 26, she's better than she was in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. She's better and she's older. And the thing that she represents now is that I'm 24 years old and I can speak for myself. Thank you very much. When I was 16, I didn't talk like this. When I was 18, I didn't talk like this. 24 with my boyfriend, and we're going out to have drinks, we're talking. I'm like, yes. So you have a young woman. That's the difference right now. And that's why I'm saying it's so new to everyone, because she's mature. She's grounded. She's super duper duper smart, you guys. I mean, she's a great athlete, but that mind, you don't become great without having a really great mind.
Yeah.
And her parents have been amazing to her. She has good people around her. She is so grounded. You guys know what celebrity does to people. Drives them cray.
Right.
And she's still able to do this. You guys, you got to tip your hat to her.
And also to have the right people around her requires her to be very smart, because you could have chosen the wrong people to be around you and it could have been even worse because of that. Let's talk about the mental health issues. I got some statistics here. I want to read a couple things, but the mental health issue is becoming a very big thing here when it comes to athletes, and we're excited that the conversation is now open. But there's some things, I just want to read a couple things that I read about mental health when it comes to athletes. 1 out of 3 college students show signs of anxiety and depression. Or depression.
Wow.
And 30% will seek treatment. Only 10% of the college athletes will do the same. So athletes tend not to admit that they're depressed. Of the NCAA athletes, they're more likely to suffer psychological problems that require treatment compared to their peers. Over 477 student athletes died from suicide in the last decade alone. 477 died from that. And then the study found that student athletes that die over 9 years, those that died over 9 years, 7.3 of those deaths were in suicide. They talked about head injuries, and alcohol and drug abuse happens. But this is something that they said was interesting. About 85% of athlete trainers state that the student athletes they oversee are impacted by anxiety. Do you guys hear that noise in the background? Or am I the only one? Michael, I hear some.
I hear it. Yeah, we hear it.
Big time noise.
I hear it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Wendy, can you speak about this a little bit? Both you and Sabrina, listen to this. Eating disorders. This was a big thing. Eating disorders. There are a few sports where eating disorders show up the most. Number 1 was gymnastics and dance. And number 2 was wrestling. And I was like, oh my gosh, we got Wendy and Sabrina here to talk about eating disorders. I mean, it's a myriad of things. And to hear our beloved tennis champion who lit the flame, you guys.
Naomi
Osaka. This is a big deal. As we fall in love with Simone, we fall in love with and to have her in this situation where, this is the thing. So can you talk about the new attention that's given to mental awareness when it comes to athletes?
And rightly so, and it's about time. People just have to realize, because mental training, when I was an athlete, we started this mental training. It was new, like visualization, how to relax. I mean, up to this point, people didn't train this. I learned to train in this, and it really made a difference. I had to visualize my routines. I had to be able to relax at a moment's notice. I still use that. So that is an incredible, important tool for all athletes to have. Is the mental capacity. But I do understand why oftentimes, people are thinking, they probably said it today, can you push yourself through it? Not really. You can't always do that. Yes, we're well trained. Yes, we can do all these. We've done these things thousands and thousands of times for, 6 hours a day for 6 years. But you can't always do it if your head's not there. And that's where I think people over this last year have realized that how important mental health is. And it's not just athletes who don't like to do it. A lot of Black people don't like to go get mental health. A lot of people, it's just, there are certain people that don't go with it, and it's very important. And yes, thank you for Naomi Osaka for bringing the light to that, because she's like, no, I don't need to be here at your press conference. I'm leaving the whole competition. See you later. I'm out.
And she's
so
young. I mean,
yes.
for her, again, the mental capacity of these women to stand up with such pressure against them at such young ages that was such a huge statement for her. Like, I'm not interviewing with you. I don't like talking to you, and I ain't doing it. You know, we have a caller.
Oh, good.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, he's gone. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the stigma that is attached to these athletes, having these mental problems and feeling alone, feeling like they can't share, feeling like the weight of the world is on, their shoulders. I'm just so glad that you have, Naomi Osaka and you have Simone Biles now, having the courage to say, you know what, I'm having some mental challenges right now. And you know what, it's not about, how the rest of the world feel about how I'm feeling. And I just think that them stepping out and making those kinds of statements is going to give other athletes currently and those that will come behind them to say it is important for you to take care of your physical body. And guess what? Your mental health is a part of your physical health. So I think that is such a great statement that they're making.
Okay, I have a question too. Is this Tokyo 2020 Olympics or 2021 Olympics? Which one is it?
2021. It all goes together. But what is the official? What's the official, Wendy?
The official is Tokyo 2020 because that was the date of the Olympics. That's when it was supposed to take place. That's the whole thing. So it's officially the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. It's just taking place in 2021.
Got
it. Wow. That's super interesting. Super interesting. So much so. Okay, so Wendy, when you talk about what's going to happen now, have they said what she's going to do now? Has she announced what's, because she gets to do the individual now? And when will that be? Because is it in a couple of days? Is it immediate?
No. So on Thursday is when she's supposed to compete in the individual competition, which means the athletes that are going for the all-around title, meaning the best on the bars and the beam and the floor and the fall all together. It's the golden ticket for gymnastics. Everyone wants to be the all-around champion. Gabby Douglas was the all-around champion in 2012. Simone Biles was the all-around champion in 2016. She would be the first athlete to repeat as all-around champion since 1968 if she does it. It is incredibly, it's incredibly hard to do back-to-back Olympic champions. So the thing is, she hasn't decided yet. There is a point where you have to let the committee know, which is probably tomorrow night, if she will be competing or not. So she probably has about a day or so before she has to make that decision of whether she's going to compete.
Now, she said, we'll take a couple of days and figure it out. What's your gut tell you, Wendy? What do you think she'll do? You're our expert.
We got issues on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We got issues. You got issues, and now you putting on what's your bet, Wendy? What's your bet?
My bet is that she'll go for it. But to be honest with you, that's my gut feeling that she will try to do it. But she's going to listen to herself. And it's all new to everybody. This is new to her. She's like, she got to try to go to bed and get up and see how she's feeling. She wants to go to practice. They'll have practice tomorrow. I think that will be a big indicator how she feels at practice when they have their training. And then that will tell her if she feels that she can go. But the thing that's so hard about that is that you really don't know how it feels. Not in practice, you feel when you get to the Olympic event that's when it kicks in. That's why it's so hard to determine.
Well, okay, so you coach, Wendy, you coach. Imagine her coach. What do you think her coach is telling her now? And the coaches, is she with her primary? She's with her primary coach, and then there's another team coach, correct? But she
there's two coaches.
Individual coach.
She has two coaches, so it's a husband and wife team. They're actually French. The female coach was on the French Olympic team. They're French, right? And so she has two coaches. She gets to have both her coaches there because they also coach Jordan Childs, right? Everybody gets to have their one personal coach there, but because they're two people from her team, both of her coaches are there. So I am sure that her
Oh.
coaches, yes. And I have to say this about her coaches, because you have to realize they started coaching Simone like maybe 3 years ago after she took off. This is not her original coach. They have done amazing, not only with Simone Biles, but Jordan Childs went to go
Right.
train with Simone. And before this, Jordan's child, you guys know this more than anything else, she didn't have confidence. And if you don't have confidence, you can't do anything. Those coaches gave Jordan Childs the confidence, along with working alongside Simone Biles, that shot her up. Everyone knew she was talented. We all knew Jordan was talented, but she was in the right environment. So I think, going back to your question, the coaches are leaving it up to Simone. They are a good team. When I told you she has a good team around her, they work together. And I think they'll work on this together.
You know, at the World Champions, when Simone hugged Jordan, and it was like she was so excited and also relieved that she convinced her to do something that would change her life. Come to Texas, work out with me, and compete with me, and let's share coaches. I mean, what an interesting dynamic for two Black women who the spotlight would already be on them because they're Black. So they share the same gym. I mean, the abundance that I learned from that when Simone opened up her arms to bring someone into her circle, as opposed to being a secretive person and I'll see you on the mat. I'm going to show you everything I'm doing. You show me everything you're doing. And let's share coaches that are husband and wife. I just can't even imagine. Does she have the husband or does she have the wife, Simone?
No, they both work together. So the coaches worked as a team. And I have to tell you, it's not only at Simone's gym. Simone's parents own the gym. They opened the gym. Let's talk about some Black Girl Magic, which is going on at the World Champion Center. They built this gym, and about 5 or 6 of their athletes, I think 6, made it to the Olympic trials. That kind of environment is so unusual that you have an elite gymnastics gym owned by 2 Black people.
Right.
And that's got like the majority of their elite athletes are Black. It's just unheard of. And so, Gloria, when you talk about her givingness, I think that's part of her power. I really do. The fact that Simone can give it to other people shows how much she can do it for herself. And people have to remember that part, that she's not, like you said, just doing it for herself. This is a special woman that can do this, to also support other people and be as fabulous as she is.
Right. I mean, it's
That's
just the
powerful.
real law of that gratefulness. It is really, really exceptional. So when you look at the men, when are they coming? The men are coming. I would love to get your perspective, because I see you. I watch you watch. When she comes to our house is like permanently on whatever channel Wendy wants it to be. And then we get to watch the Thanksgiving parade because we have to. But when you watch the men, what do we get to watch for? Tell our audience, what do we get to watch for as the men are coming up?
Well, it's exciting. I love men's gymnastics, and the men tomorrow are competing for the individual all-around championship. They just did the team, which was amazing. Russia, by the way. So one of the Russian athletes just had his Achilles. He busted his Achilles, or blew out his Achilles that on your heel like 3 months ago. And then he came and did all 6 events, including tumbling and landing and vault. So Lorian is this amazing athlete. He's a world champion. The Russians, you want to look for the Russians. You want to look for the Chinese athletes. I think those are going to be fighting for the individual events. And that's happening tomorrow morning. And it's exciting because, unfortunately, the top Japanese guy, Uchimura, was supposed to compete on the high bar. Now, he won the last 2 Olympics. And he was saving himself to the last 2 Olympics. He was all-around champion. So he was saving himself for Japan, but he had too many injuries. So he was just going to do high bar, but he fell on high bar and didn't qualify for the finals. I know. We're so sad. Yeah, we're so sad. This guy is an amazing, I don't know how many world championships he won, but that's men's gymnastics. And so, we're hoping there are a couple of men from the U.S. that are going to be competing for the all-around title. And then they'll have event titles later in the week.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing when you never know about injuries. You know, you can have all these grandiose plans, you be the favorite, and then you're out because of an injury. So it's so unpredictable. And yeah, and that's why when these young boys want to go play basketball right out of high school, I'm like, go boy, go do your thing, because we don't know what tomorrow holds.
Right.
Oh, wow. So much to think about.
That's crazy. You know, that's so crazy. And if we have any callers, we welcome you to call in at 313-778-7600. I have a question for you, Wendy, because her son is getting ready to go to World Champions. So tell them a little bit about that, because they don't know about that. When we last talked, he was competing for it or making a decision. But tell them about what your son's getting ready to do, because that's exciting.
Yes, so my son BJ is on the junior national team for tumbling and double mini trampoline. So he's on 2 national teams, and he was selected to represent the United States in the World Age Group Championships. We're going to take place in Baku, Azerbaijan in November. So this is his first international trip representing the USA at the World Championships in tumbling, and he's the alternate for double mini. So it's very exciting for him. It's interesting. He was having a hard time making the decision, but I told him, you have to wait. Once you go international and you represent your country, that puts you on a different level. You are now an elite athlete. You travel the world to compete. And so you need to experience that. You need to say, I have been with the best. When you look around at the competition and everybody else is from the world is the best athlete, it gives you something special, and all the hard work is worth it.
Yeah, Wendy, what was his hesitation? What was his biggest hesitation?
That's a really good question. You know, he's 16 and he's been doing this pretty much all his life. And he was thinking, do I want to go on? Do I want to try basketball? You know, I want my friends. He hasn't been to school all year like everybody else. He wants to, you know, he's been going to gymnastics practice, but he hasn't been seeing his friends. And so that balance was off. It used to be I do gymnastics, but I see my friends at school and I do this. Right. But now he's just doing gymnastics and he didn't see his friends. He's like, I want to see my friends. I think that had a lot to do with it. I think everybody out there is going to understand how challenging it is going to be for all the young kids who have been out of school. He talked to my other son, Casey. Casey's like, oh, you're not writing. He says, oh, I haven't been in school for the last year and a half. I'm like, wow. Which is true.
Yeah.
It's really true. It's really true.
Yeah.
It's true. We're going to let Wendy go because she has an interview, and I'm so excited that you were able to join us on We Got Issues, Wendy. I know you got to click off because
thank you, Wendy.
BBC is waiting for her. You know, another news station is waiting for her. We're so glad that you graced us here on We Got Issues. Thank you so much, Wendy. That was awesome.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yes. You guys, bye. Love you, girl. You guys, this is such a great topic, and there's so much going on in the world. There's so much happening and so much going on with the Olympics, and we're thinking about how the athletes are going to play such a big part. We're going to continue to stay close. You can click off, Wendy, if you have to go. I know. Okay. But just know that we're so excited about what's going on with the Olympics, what's going to happen as we continue going forward. You guys, we're telling you that not only are we so excited about you joining us on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation on the radio, but join us on Facebook and follow us as we go along, because we're excited about what we're going to bring. Tomorrow, we'll be here from 6 to 7 p.m. And we're so excited. Remember what we say, grab a girlfriend, because your girlfriend is probably messy, classy, sassy, whatever, lazy. It might be whatever, but she needs bossy, but she needs to be with us, the force of friendship, because we got issues. We love you guys so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Wow, Facebook. Let's see. Facebook, you guys showed up today. That was awesome, you guys. You got to leave us messages about how you heard about this, what made this topic good for you, inviting other people. Sabrina,
share it to their pages. Share it to their friends. You've got girlfriends who've got girls in gymnastics. You've got sons in gymnastics. You got athletes out there. Share this broadcast.
Yes. You guys, you never know what might happen. It just happens like that. So we're so glad that we were able to bring this to you today. That was juicy.
Wendy was so good. She was the perfect guest for today. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And she cleared up so much for us, and there's a lot going on. So you guys, we love you guys on Facebook. We'll see you tomorrow, 6 to 7 p.m. Talk to you later.
Bye.